In recent years, the aquaculture model combined with livestock farming has been increasingly expanded in many areas around the world, in which Vietnam is most famous for shrimp farming combined with rice cultivation in coastal mangrove areas. How does this farming model bring profits to farmers? Let's explore with us right now. The rice shrimp model is becoming a sustainable trend in many coastal provinces in Vietnam, such as Cà Mau, Bac Lieu, Kiên Giang, and Sóc Trăng. Farmers have taken advantage of the natural ecosystem of rice to develop shrimp farming, helping them earn profits of up to tens of thousands of dollars per year. Farmers who combine rice and shrimp farming say they can earn from 1 billion to 2 billion VND per year, equivalent to about $40,000 to $80,000 on an area of 5 to 10 hectares thanks to this model. For large-scale farming, many farmers can combine shrimp farming and rice farming on a large area. This model combines shrimp farming in the saltwater season and rice farming in the freshwater season according to the natural cycle. In the dry season, saltwater from the sea flows into the fields. Farmers will raise tiger shrimp or white-leg shrimp. In the rainy season, when the fresh water rises and the salinity decreases, people will grow rice on the land where shrimp were previously raised. This conversion helps limit disease, reduce the cost of fertilizers and pesticides, and improve the soil regime. After planting rice, farmers need to monitor water quality, adjust salinity appropriately, and not use too many chemicals to maintain a balanced ecosystem. During the growth process, shrimp eat insects that are harmful to rice plants. In return, shrimp waste becomes an organic source of nutrients that helps rice grow better. Farmers only need to apply a small amount of fertilizer to meet the growth needs of rice plants. Shrimp are harvested before the rainy season, then the land is plowed and rice is planted. Rice is harvested at the end of the rainy season, creating conditions for the next shrimp crop. With this perfect combination, farmers can increase their income from a specific cultivated area without much cost. It also brings many advantages that traditional farming activities do not have. The development of integrated shrimp farming in rice fields helps improve economic efficiency for farmers. In addition to income from shrimp, farmers also gain profit from rice, helping to diversify their income sources. According to the report, each hectare can bring in an average profit of $4,000 to $7,000 per year, higher than pure rice farming or single shrimp farming. Tiger shrimp and white leg shrimp raised in rice fields have higher value due to less use of antibiotics and chemicals, meeting export standards. In addition, rice grown after shrimp harvest has the effect of improving the soil. The rice will absorb excess nutrients from shrimp waste, thereby growing faster and helping to reduce environmental pollution. This combined model helps prevent land degradation like industrial shrimp farming, helping to limit the phenomenon of long-term salinization of the soil. In addition, this model also helps maintain the natural ecosystem, not causing imbalance in the living environment. Rice shrimp farmers say that this combination helps limit diseases, giving pathogens less opportunity to develop and reducing the risk of disease spreading. Furthermore, limiting the use of pesticides and chemicals helps reduce the risk of toxic residues in the product, ensuring food safety. In recent years, aquaculture has faced challenges from climate change. However, the shrimp farming model combined with rice cultivation has adapted to climate change, especially in extreme weather conditions such as prolonged drought and salinity or rising sea levels. Flexible water systems help farmers easily adjust to each crop season, limiting the risk of crop failure. If farming is sustainable, it can help stabilize national food security and the lives of local communities, helping thousands of farmers escape poverty. Although there are many advantages, experts say the biggest challenge for farmers is that the survival rate of shrimp is not high, the stocking density is low, so the productivity is lower than industrial shrimp farming, so the market for shrimp and rice is still limited. In the future, this shrimp farming model can develop and expand to many regions around the world. Agriculture has been associated with the development of human history for thousands of years, and to this day, this industry still plays the most important role in feeding more than 7 billion people on Earth. Any farmer wants to increase productivity and increase income from the farming industry. Many people have applied the combined farming model of garden, pond, barn, and created great profits. So, how does this combined model work? Let's explore it with us now. Simply put, the garden pond barn model is a combination of growing fruit trees or crops in the garden, raising fish and aquatic products in ponds and lakes, and raising livestock, poultry, or other animals. Combining three forms of agriculture in one model will make the most of available resources, create links between livestock activities, help save costs, and increase economic efficiency. This model can be applied everywhere in the world, but is most popular today in China, India, and Southeast Asia. However, not all crops or livestock are effective, because it depends on natural conditions and the market in the area. So, to increase profits from the garden, pond, and barn model, what should farmers do? First, it is necessary to select crops, livestock, and aquatic products suitable for climate, soil, and water conditions. Moreover, farmers also need to research the market to decide which products are easy to consume and have high economic value. Crops can be short-term or long-term crops grown in gardens next to ponds and barns. Farmers can also grow vegetables in combination with shrimp farming and pig or cow farming depending on the consumption demand in the area. With the combination of livestock and crop farming, it helps save labor costs and also ensures that all resources are used reasonably. In the garden, pond, and barn model, farmers make the most of resources from manure to waste products. Water from fish ponds can be used to irrigate gardens or clean barns. Waste products from fish gardens such as grass, leaves, or leftover food are recycled as food for livestock or fish. Manure from livestock and poultry is used as fertilizer for plants and fish food. This is a circular form that can utilize all resources on the farm without wasting any element, including animal waste. Therefore, farmers can save on feed costs, labor costs, and fertilizer costs for crops. To increase efficiency in the garden, pond, and barn model, many farms have used biotechnology to treat manure, creating organic fertilizer or biogas. Building biogas systems helps create natural gas or fuel for generators, thereby saving electricity and industrial gas costs. When the biogas production model is expanded, a new model is born with a higher form: garden, pond, barn, biogas. This form of livestock farming is expanded to large-scale farms with commercial forms, bringing higher economic benefits to farmers, typically livestock farmers. The model of combining gardens, ponds, and barns is not only limited to livestock farming activities, but has also been developed into experiential tourism areas. Here, tourists can visit, learn practically, and apply agricultural models on their own farms. It also provides visitors with direct experiences of planting and harvesting, as well as livestock, poultry, or seafood farming activities. Farmers can earn thousands of dollars in additional income from this farm tourism venture. The garden, pond, and barn model not only helps farmers develop economically, but this circulatory system also helps reduce waste released into the soil, water, and air, helping to protect the surrounding environment, thereby creating a clean environment. It is considered a sustainable livestock system and can develop strongly in the future.
Surprised by the white goose farm in South Korea, providing tons of meat in a critical situation. These giant white geese with silky feathers are not just kept as pets. They are a major source of meat, contributing significantly to the growing livestock industry in South Korea. Foie gras and roast goose, once a luxury item, have become an important food reserve. So how do these farmers work and why is this livestock industry so important? Find out in today's video. Geese are always considered noisy, especially during the breeding season. Statistics in 2021 showed that the world's goose production reached more than 4 million tons, and with China accounted for 98.76%. However, few people know that South Korea has also large-scale goose farms, providing tons of meat every year. Although not as large as China, South Korea also owns many goose farms with significant output. With its large size and delicious taste, goose meat has become a popular choice for consumers. In the context of tensions between South Korea and North Korea, goose meat can become an important food reserve. It is undeniable that the goose farming industry is bringing positive values to this country. Usually, goose farms will be built next to ponds and lakes to ensure the most suitable living environments. Goose farms are not too complicated. Farmers only need to build a net system around the farming area. In addition, it is possible to build a roof for the geese so that they have shelter when it rains, is sunny, or when breeding. Although the species of goose has a rather aggressive personality, they have the habit of following their owners. This is very special, isn't it? In some places, geese are also raised as pets to guard houses. Geese can live up to 50 years and breed for about 5 to 16 years. However, with geese raised for meat, farmers only need to raise them for 8 to 9 weeks, when they reach a weight of about 9 pounds. Typically, peak egg-laying season is in the spring, with most geese laying a clutch of 10 to 15 eggs. Geese can breed naturally or incubated artificially, with an incubation period of about 30 days. Geese like rugged and prefer to live in places with water. Raising geese requires large spaces, fenced pastures, and close to water sources. Some farms use gardens to raise geese, ensuring both shade and ventilation. Despite their thick feathers, geese have poor thermal regulation, so it is necessary to maintain a stable temperature for goslings. If the temperature fluctuates sharply between day and night, the risk of goslings dying is very high, so it is necessary to maintain the temperature between 26 to 32 degrees Celsius. Korean farmers' goose crops are always designed to balance temperature and have good ventilation. When raising geese, flock density is also an important factor. If the density is too high, the goslings will certainly not have enough oxygen to breathe. Therefore, a spacious coop and suitable density will reduce the risk of geese dying. Besides, if the flock is too large, the risk of goslings starving to death is entirely possible. Disinfection and humidity control in the goose coop are also carried out regularly. This is the best way to prevent the spread of diseases that can cause mass geese deaths. In particular, goose farms will vaccinate goslings 3 to 5 days after hatching for the most effective disease prevention. Let's take a look at the production process and why white goose meat has become the top choice in Korean cuisine. Goose meat is even more highly valued than chicken or duck. Koreans often use goose meat to prepare some traditional dishes, not only meeting domestic consumption needs. Goose products in Korea are also exported to markets such as Vietnam, Hong Kong and Singapore. In addition to meat, goose eggs are also highly valued for their nutritional value and flavor. In addition to goose meat production, these farms also earn additional income for collecting goose feathers. Goose feathers are light and soft, have good insulation properties, and are very popular. The value of goose feathers can be twice as high as duck feathers. But if the quality is high, the price can increase 10 times. Goose feathers products such as blankets and coats are still sought after by many people. In the context of conflict, food production becomes especially important. Farmers must adopt and find ways to maintain production in difficult situations. Promoting food production and reserves is extremely necessary. The goose farming industry also faces many challenges such as epidemics, climate change and food quality requirements. Farmers are applying modern technology and suitable farming methods to improve efficiency and protect the environment. Despite many difficulties, Korean goose farms are still making positive changes. Innovations in agriculture will help them maintain production and provide food for the people.
Australia is one of the world's largest exporters of sheep, accounting for about 57% of global sheep production and 92% of global adult sheep production. Sheep farms here can stretch for tens of thousands of square kilometers, bringing huge revenue to farmers. So, what has driven the growth of the Australian sheep industry, and how can farms maximize profits? Take a look at some of the most modern sheep farms in this video to find out. Australia's sheep industry is one of the largest agricultural economies and has a long history spanning over 200 years. It plays a vital role in supplying high-quality meat and wool to the global market. Today, there are around 79 million sheep on huge farms, many of which cover tens of thousands of hectares. The most common fallow areas are New South Wales, 38%, Victoria, 21%, Western Australia, 18%, and South Australia, 15%. The most typical example of a modern sheep farm model is Rawlinna, Australia's largest sheep farm. This farm has an area of 1,011,714 hectares, almost the same area as Sydney. In addition, there are hundreds of other farms that are smaller in scale, but still extremely large and modern. It can be seen that the scale of sheep farms in Australia is extremely large. Sheep farms in Australia mainly raise the famous Merino sheep breed, with high-quality, smooth and soft wool products, mainly serving the textile industry. Merino sheep not only have good wool quality, but also have the ability to adapt well to harsh climates, helping to improve productivity and product quality. In addition, Donnay and Paul Dorset sheep are also raised for meat and meet the large export demand. Lambs are carefully cared for after birth with a suitable diet, including mother's milk and supplementary feed. After a few months, they begin to graze on large pastures and are monitored through modern equipment. When the sheep reach optimal weight or have long enough wool, they will be sheared or sold for meat. To be able to operate large sheep farms, farmers must apply modern technology and the most optimal management methods. Systems such as remote cameras and automatic watering can significantly save time and labor costs. At the same time, electronic identification systems help monitor the health and productivity of sheep, improving data accuracy. The use of data management software also makes it easier for farm owners to track pedigrees and profits from ewes. Thanks to supporting equipment and technology, farmers no longer have to travel hundreds of kilometers to check their flocks. Thus, they have succeeded in reducing the number of workers needed, thereby reducing farm operating costs. This not only brings high economic efficiency, but also promotes sustainable development for the sheep farming industry in Australia. In addition to modern technology, one of the factors that helps the sheep farming industry in Australia bring high profits is optimizing the size of the sheep herd. With the same number of workers, but in Australia, farms increase the size of their sheep herds, thereby bringing higher profits. According to statistics, Australian sheep farms produce 5 to 10 times more meat per hour of work than the rest of the world. Therefore, although labor costs are 10 times higher than in China, Africa, or South America, and twice as high as in New Zealand and European countries, they are still highly profitable. In addition, the construction of mixed sheep farms combined with crop farms helps to take advantage of feed sources from crops. This is an effective solution to save on the cost of buying feed for sheep. Therefore, Australia has become one of the countries producing sheep with the lowest cost in the world, lower than the global average of $428 per 100 kilogram live weight. The majority of Australian sheep is exported to overseas markets, most notably China, Europe, and the United States, generating a significant amount of revenue for the livestock industry. According to the latest figures, the value of exports in 2023 to 2024 is a record $5.1 trillion, which is a huge number. Despite the large-scale sheep farming, Australian farmers are also committed to producing sheep sustainably. Efforts to maintain land, vegetation, and reduce emissions are essential. Each year, livestock farmers, especially sheep farmers, invest more than $13 million in research to reduce the impact of the industry on the environment. Practical actions are being taken to improve environmental sustainability, such as installing solar panels, fencing to increase biodiversity, etc. These efforts not only bring economic benefits, but also create a better living environment for sheep. With recent climate change, global competition, and market issues, the revenue of the Australian sheep industry is forecast to decrease by about 2.6% by 2024. However, with efficient and sustainable farming models, Australia will still be the world's largest supplier of sheep meat and wool. Each year, humans consume about 30 billion pounds of beef, so millions of pounds of meat are produced every day. However, we mainly consume beef, and other products such as beef bones are also processed hundreds of thousands of pounds every day. So, how do people handle cow bones? Please explore with us now. Today, we cannot know the exact number of cows raised around the world, but there must certainly be more than 1 billion. The world's largest cow-raising countries are Brazil, the United States, and India. They are raised all over the world with diverse breeding systems and rich breed sources. However, the common point of the cow farming industry is to harvest milk and meat. Cows are brought to the meat processing factory after being raised for about 12 months. During the process of transporting cows to the factory, they need to be checked for health and quality before processing begins. Cattle are humanely stunned and then slaughtered. This is done under strict regulations to ensure animal welfare. After that, the beef carcass is processed through skin processing, internal organs removal, and cut into many different meat parts. The process involves separating the meat from the bones and cutting it into the desired portions, such as steak or ground beef. The meat is further processed, which may include grinding, seasoning, and marinating. Then, the meat is packaged for distribution to stores or supermarkets for consumption. Other parts of cattle, such as bones, organs, and skin, are also processed, and may even be exported to countries with consumer markets. However, most beef bones are processed in ways we least expect. The step of separating beef from bones is done in meat processing areas. It is mainly done by human labor, as they use knives sharp enough to separate all the meat from the beef bones. Because normally the price of beef is many times more expensive than beef bones, workers need to handle it cleanly to avoid wasting money. Separating meat from beef bones is a job that requires skillful skills and experience from each worker. Not only does it ensure work progress, but beef meat and bones are also processed to meet standards. Depending on the skill of each worker, the work progress is different. On average, one worker can process dozens of beef carcasses per day. So, do you know how tons of beef bones are processed every day? Beef bones have many uses. A small part of cow bones are used for food processing. However, most of it is used as animal feed or as compost or to grow plants. Plants also need an abundant source of calcium to grow, so grinding cow bones to grow plants also helps plants grow effectively. Grinding bones into bone meal makes it easy for any of your animals to consume. Bone meal is a common ingredient in many pet foods and animal feeds. It is an excellent source of minerals, and it provides essential nutrients to a variety of animals, from livestock to poultry to pets. Beef bone meal is processed into animal feed in pellet or powder form and is provided as daily feed for farm animals. Not every type of cow bone brought to a feed processing plant can be used. All need to go through testing stages to evaluate quality. Bone meal is tested to ensure that it meets nutritional parameters for calcium, phosphorus, and other minerals. Samples need to be tested for contaminants such as heavy metals, pathogens, and toxins to ensure that the product is safe for animals to consume. Processing beef bones needs to go through a strict testing process so it limits viruses that are harmful to cattle. In addition, the use of cow bones also helps compost organic matter, bringing great benefits to farmland. Every day, tons of processed beef bones are transported to landfills. Although they can decompose over time, they cause great waste. Therefore, farmers use cow bones to make compost. Cow bone manure will add nutrients to the soil and help create healthy soil. If the beef bones have already been cooked to make broth, simply add them to the compost. They take longer to decompose than apple cores, but they will be virtually gone in a year or two. It doesn't take long for a skeleton to be consumed by Mother Nature. Composting cow bones not only helps protect the environment, but also improves the quality of agricultural land. What if a cow was taxed? It may sound like a joke, but it's actually happening in Denmark. Lawmakers in the country have announced plans to tax farmers if their cows emit a certain amount of methane. The policy is aimed at addressing the negative impact of livestock on the environment, especially when they emit large amounts of methane, which contributes to the greenhouse effect. Livestock farming is one of the world's most polluting industries, particularly in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, in 2015, the livestock sector alone contributed about 12% of man-made greenhouse gas emissions. Denmark, in particular, is one of the world's largest cattle producers. A quarter of the country's greenhouse gas emissions come from agriculture, more than any other sector. According to research, a cow in Denmark can emit 6 tons of CO2 equivalent per year, so the government of this country needs to take measures to reduce emissions from livestock farming. Accordingly, lawmakers in Denmark have come up with the idea of taxing farmers based on the methane emissions from their livestock. The aim is to encourage farmers to adopt emission reduction measures. This tax could be charged per capita depending on the amount of methane emitted. Dairy cows burp more due to their diet, so the tax would be higher than beef cattle. The tax would aim to reduce 70% of greenhouse gas emissions in 2030 compared to 1990. Accordingly, by 2030, Danish cattle farmers will be taxed at $43 per ton of carbon dioxide equivalent, rising to $108 by 2035. However, due to a 60% income tax deduction, the actual cost per ton will start at $17.30 and rise to $43 by 2035. This bill has only just been proposed by leaders in Denmark and has not yet been put into practice, because this tax has a direct impact on the economy of livestock farmers. But if the project is implemented and successful, it will have many great benefits. Researchers predict that the tax will cut the country's emissions by 1.8 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent by 2030. And of course, if successful, it will certainly bring about a major change in global animal agriculture, bringing about a whole new livestock industry with a more sustainable goal. Denmark is the first country to do so, targeting a major source of methane, one of the most potent gases contributing to global warming. And it is also the first country to hold cows accountable for their carbon emissions. To avoid the tax, cattle farmers are encouraged to use feed additives to make dietary changes that reduce the amount of methane their cattle emit. Substances such as seaweed, oil, or tannins in the cattle's diet to reduce the amount of methane released from digestion. Farmers also provide easily digestible feed that reduces fermentation in the cow's stomach, resulting in less methane production, emit more methane. Additionally, farms can adopt advanced technologies such as methane capture equipment or biogas plants to minimize the release of these gases into the environment. On pasture farms, cows need to be rotated to maintain soil carbon levels and improve grass growth, helping to reduce overall emissions. Healthier pasture quality can help cows burn more carbon, better digestion, and reduced methane emissions. Researchers can also use genetic engineering techniques to create livestock that emit less methane. In particular, selecting dairy cows not only helps reduce emissions, but also improves the quality of the animal's milk. Denmark is one of the countries with the largest dairy production industry in the world. In livestock farms, effective waste treatment systems are needed to prevent emissions such as nitrous oxide and methane. Manure needs to be collected in a designated area and treated quickly, such as biogas production. This method not only utilizes livestock waste, but also creates sustainable gas products. Combining these measures with sustainable agricultural policies and technologies could significantly reduce emissions while maintaining food production and the economic viability of livestock farming.
While we enjoy delicious glasses of milk every day, many farmers are facing the problem of rising feed prices. The process of producing and delivering milk to consumers is a long and challenging journey. Do these challenges affect the quality of the milk we consume every day? And why are feed prices skyrocketing? Find out in today's video. Dairy farms in the US are struggling because of high feed prices, partly due to China. People often think of cows grazing, but is that enough? For dairy farmers, that's definitely not enough. With hundreds, even thousands of dairy cows, providing a variety of feed is crucial. Cows need to be provided with enough nutrition to produce quality milk, helping farmers maximize profits. However, solving this problem is not easy. Feed prices are rising to record highs, reaching their highest level in many years. From 2019 to 2022, the cost of raising organic livestock in the United States increased by $825 million, essentially doubling the cost of animal feed. This pressure is weighing on farms and threatening the survival of the dairy industry. Faced with this challenge, the United States has seen a series of dairy farms closures. In the hills of northeastern Tennessee, thousands of farmers have dwindled to fewer than 40. A cow that produces about 24,000 pounds of milk brings in about $4,457. But the cost of producing that milk is $6,192, meaning the farmer is losing money. Faced with this challenge, the United States has seen a series of dairy farms closures. In the hills of northeastern Tennessee, thousands of farmers have dwindled to fewer than 40. A cow that produces about 24,000 pounds of milk brings in about $4,457. But the cost of producing that milk is $6,192, meaning the farmer is losing money. So what's driving the price of feed in the United States? One of the main reasons is China. What's the connection between the US dairy industry and China? The underlying cause likely dates back to 2018 or to 2019, when African swine fever broke out in China, decimating the pig herd. China is trying to rebuild its pig herd, increasing imports to feed like soybeans. Hundreds of millions of tons of soybeans are imported into China each year, driving up soybean prices. This has had a huge impact on the US livestock industry, leading to fierce competition in the global feed market. But the problem is not entirely China's, as the US is also facing drought, especially in California and the US West. Prolonged drought reduces the productivity of food crops such as corn and soya beans, causing feed reserves to decrease sharply, forcing producers to increase selling prices. For this reason, the government is unlikely to solve the problem in the short term, as the consequences of climate changes are becoming more evident and droughts will continue. How farmers can access water during droughts remains a controversial issue. But the problem is not entirely China's, as the US is also facing drought, especially in California and the US West. Prolonged drought reduces the productivity of food crops such as corn and soya beans, causing feed reserves to decrease sharply, forcing producers to increase selling prices. For this reason, the government is unlikely to solve the problem in the short term, as the consequences of climate changes are becoming more evident and droughts will continue. How farmers can access water during droughts remains a controversial issue. In addition, rising fuel prices are also causing headaches for farmers, although gasoline prices have cooled down compared to a few years ago. This cost still puts pressure on farms. Most feed mills today use modern equipment, so fuel consumption is higher. Dairy farms will also have to use more expensive feed. These factors have pushed up the cost of producing cow's milk, significantly reducing profit margins. Most organic grain for dairy cows in the United States is imported. The war in Ukraine negatively impacted organic crop production last year, tightening global supplies of these commodities and driving up prices. Additionally, the war in Ukraine has caused demand for organic Indian soybeans in Europe to skyrocket, leaving many US farmers struggling, as most of the organic soybeans and meal used by beef farmers comes from India. Despite the challenges, many farmers are looking for a suitable solution to adopt to the new situation. Adopting technology and changing production methods can be the key to getting through this period. Some farmers can reduce production costs by improving cow health, reproductive performance and feed-to-milk conversion rates. Investing in precision technologies such as robotic milking systems, rotary stalls and reproductive health technology can help reduce labor costs. The agricultural sector needs support from the government and communities to get through this crisis. This not only affects the domestic milk supply but also affects the welfare of many rural communities.